One Zambia, one nation. Good evening and warm welcome to Zanis News. To present, my name is Yvonne Jerry. We look at the stories making headline. Copperbelt forms task force to curb smuggling of meal. Over 300 Nyimba farmers benefit from goat pass-on program. Chembe district to get first ever mortuary using CDF. And coaches body ages fast to build technical capacity of Copper Queens bench. And now the news in detail. Copperbelt Province Minister Elisha Matambo has announced the formation of a special task force to tackle the rampant smuggling of meal in the province. Mr. Matambo said this in Dola when he met district commissioners, mayors, town clerks, and council chairpersons, noting that the fight against smuggling needs to be intensified. Tovin Ngombe filed in this report.
Copperbelt Province has formed a special task force to deal with the rampant cases of smuggling of meal to the Democratic Republic of Congo. The mayors, council chairpersons, town clerks, and council secretaries have all joined hands to ensure that the formation of the task force is successful in combating smuggling, which has resulted in artificial shortage of the staple food and making people to queue for the commodity when it is offloaded in the shops. Copperbelt Province Minister Elisha Matambo, who chaired the formation of the task force in Ndola, wants the enemies of progress to be curtailed.
All the Copperbelt residents, like I've been saying, we know each other where we live. We know who does what business. What we are just trying to do today is to try and reinforce what the security wings are doing. The task force teams we've put in different districts. We want to take it now to the constituencies and go down to the wards. That is where people are getting affected with meal. It's at the ward level and branch level. That is where we are going.
Copperbelt Permanent Secretary Augustine Kasongo has called for teamwork to fight smuggling.
Them through on how these committees will be formed, because these committees will come down to the party officials and the community as it were. So we need to work out on the structures and how this is done. And once this is done, we shall communicate with Lusaka and then see if those committees that have been formed can find some kind of funding so that this fight against this scourge of smuggling can be fought.
Different tactics that smugglers are using to deprive the citizens of their treasured food needs the task force to work together to stop the vice. Tovin Ngombe, Zanis, Ndola.
Government says it has put in place interventions to mitigate the acts of smuggling and ensure food security in the country. Speaking during a joint press briefing in Lusaka today, Minister of Defense Ambrose Lufuma says food security is on top of government's agenda and no one will be allowed to deliberately sabotage national food security through smuggling of meal. Mr. Lufuma said defense and security wings have been directed to enhance and intensify security patrols on the Copperbelt and Northern Circuit to curb smuggling of meal. The minister appealed to the members of the public not to desist from overbuying meal bags and continue collaborating with security wings by reporting incidents of smuggling. The defense minister said that government is considering importing meal from South Africa to export to external markets, which are putting pressure on Zambia. And speaking at the same briefing, Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security, Jack Mwimbo, said government will not issue any export permit to anyone to export maize or meal out of the country. Mr. Mwimbo appealed to farmers to refrain from selling their unharvested maize to foreigners because the country already has a deficit.
Food security is national security. Anyone tampering with our food security is tampering with our national security. As ministers charged with defense and security of our country, We shall never allow this deliberate sabotage of our national security through smuggling of mealie meal. To mitigate these acts of sabotage, the following interventions have been put in place. 1. Zambia National Service and the Zambia Correctional Service have been directed to deliver more mealie meal to the Copper Belt, Northern Circuit, and any other needy areas to stabilize the prices.
There's a deficit. Our concentration currently is to ensure that Zambia is maize secure. That is our thrust. We are appealing to the Zambian farmers to be patriotic and not sell their unharvested maize to foreigners. I also want to inform our farmers that we shall not recognize those transactions that have taken place. Because we will not allow any maize to be taken out of this country without permits.
We move to Luapula province, where the provincial minister, Derek Chilundika, says the province has enough maize and mealie meal in stock. Speaking when he toured selected milling companies and some selling points, the provincial minister observed that the only challenges is that traders are using other people to buy mealie meal for smuggling. More in the following report.
Luapula Province Minister Derek Chilundika has cautioned people in Luapula against being used to smuggle mealie meal to neighboring countries. The minister warned that the law will catch up with those being used to buy mealie meal to export outside the country, saying doing so is being unpatriotic.
ngatafifulire abaneso abalefu makonse ngatabalesa mfuku chitabu nichwemo vilitevyo fueba kwetu obwafya ni fuebo fuebele tuletinga tuwachita tuwayachita smako batupela korpi olwingi elo tuwabika bamunine fuaba limuno mubwafya kwamba kushita omutengo oku mulandu yomuteto mulekaye ngatwa musanga mulechita smuggling bakamwikata okufunya obunga mu kyalo amatawa mu kyalo kano olina ekipepa kirabatira ati export permit turemvwana birafine tureyafu abanesu bayingira mu kyalo bamuta bakwete n'ekipepa kyakwingira mu kyalo kyesitwala abafo okushita obunga obwingi bakuti batwale kunsi ya kyalo nawo mula.
And some Mansa residents are concerned that the price of mealie meal is too high, despite government subsidizing maize to millers.
But mwandini chichena chichitike mu Zambia tachiweme ukulashita obunga ama 200 nempusho nomba fwe bakwete abana bengi panganda twakulalya shani nangu chipi mwanchi twakulabika mungande echo twala naira mu obwali pako bati tukwate kwanga twachitesa kalimo ipwisho omweshi utunturu pantu isakalunda kwata mulungumo.
Millers in Mansa are selling a 25-kilogram bag of breakfast mealie meal at 180 kwacha and dollar meal at 150. Kenneth Chomba, reporting for Zanis News in Mansa District.
Solwezi District Commissioner Tradesman Mulofwa has expressed disappointment at some mealie meal traders who are selling mealie meal at exorbitant prices when the Food Reserve Agency FRA has offloaded maize to local millers to increase circulation of the commodity on the market. Speaking after touring Meatech Market in Solwezi today, Mr. Mulofwa says government will not sit idle and watch citizens being exploited by traders selling the commodity at inflated prices. Chaibu Nkoma has more in the following report.
They are crying to the government to intervene and engage traders selling mealie meal at high prices. The local millers in Solwezi district have been supplied with maize by the Food Reserve Agency FRA, setting the order price for mealie meal to range between 170 kwacha to 180 kwacha. However, some traders have continued to sell mealie meal at exorbitant prices. Solwezi District Commissioner Tredson Mlofwa is on the ground and caught up with this man allegedly selling a 25-kilogram bag of mealie at 270 kwacha.
In the name of God, I have not sold any bag. Whoever, I'm telling you, if I'm lying, God will punish me in the future. But I have not sold any bag at 270. The only thing that I sold is through 250. And it's true, I sold that. I sold that 200 kwacha.
After an engagement, this trader accepts to reduce the commodity from 270 kwacha to 200 kwacha and refunds extra money to customers.
I told him the only price, the affordable price, which one can sell is commodity. That is the mealie should be 180 kwacha. That is what I told this gentleman. Instead of selling them at that much, he decided to start selling them at a very abnormal prices, which is 250 kwacha, 270 kwacha. So how do we trust such a trader? And a senior government official for that matter have decided and have instructed the police to take all these mealie to the police process and be cautioned.
Meanwhile, appeals to increase the supply of mealie in local shops has continued as bigger chain stores such as ShopRite do not yet have the mealie in shelves. For Zanis News, I am Chebun Komen, Solwezi District, Northwestern Province.
Thank you, Chaibu, for that report. The indiscriminate cutting down of trees for charcoal production remains problematic and largely accounts for the negative effects of climate change. To try and reverse this, government, through the World Bank-supported Zambia Integrated Forestry Landscape Project in Eastern Province, is implementing a goat pass-on program as an alternative livelihood option for communities in Nyimba District. Lubasi Mtafela, who is in Nyimba District, reports that about 316 farmers have so far benefited from the 1,863 goats that were distributed in 2022, and to ensure that the pass-on is functioning as expected.
Economic empowerment for rural communities remains top on government agenda to transform lives of the citizens, particularly the most vulnerable communities. In Eastern Province, government, with support from the World Bank through the Zambia Integrated Forestry Landscape Project ZIFIL, is implementing, among others, the goat pass-on program, and Nyimba District is one of the beneficiaries. In Mtilizi area of Nyimba District, Mary Daka and others gave their testimonies on how the program has freed them from the shackles of poverty.
Mbuzi sepe tola izi mbuzi kutiti teke seo, and then izi mbuzi zikatikateka seo zabala tutola makolo bala tupasa kwa ayasu kuti seo tasakona tubana ayasu atolako makolo nao bala makolo ashitatiani akabala nao apasa kwa yao tupasana pasana muguru kuti tonse tikwane.
Nitola nipaseko muyangu ali muguru umozi naye 1 years kabala toleza mbuzi apase muguru umozi tonse tikakwanira zila zusala zila ni mabenefiti baso kuti topunzisilamo bana titukuke pa mang'anda umpawi usile ibungo ya zifiu ndipo tuyamikira ko pambana chifukwa chokuti betipunzisa kuti umpawi wasu setazimai usile.
The Ministry of Fisheries and Livestock is implementing the goat pass-on program, and its officials have visited the beneficiaries in Nyimba District for an evaluation.
We are very impressed with what we are seeing here. To start with, the women are very energetic and very interested in the livestock enterprises. Through the district team is to continue encouraging these upcoming farmers into, coming up with sustainable practices. And by sustainable practices, we do not just mean the sustainable practices in keeping livestock.
The goat pass-on concept is an integrated approach towards climate change.
Government through ZIFIL project, I think, identified nine cooperatives, and one of them was this cooperative by empowering them with goats. Goats were empowered because these are resilient to climate change. You want to understand that ZIFIP is a program based on climate adaptation for the people of Nyimba District, and so this is to respond to the climate changes.
Lubasi Mtafela for Zanis in Nyimba District.
Still in environmental news, climate change continues to have an impact on people and livestock in Iteji district of Southern Province. Frederick Mwansa reports that the impacts such as poor harvest and water scarcity in the area has been visible on the lives of the people who depend on agriculture for a living. However, a series of government interventions funded by the African Development Bank and other partners are allowing climate change victims to reclaim their way of life and mitigate the effects.
Iteji district has been experiencing effects of climate change leading to crop failure and water shortages. To address these conditions, government implemented the Strengthening Climate Change Resilience in the Kafue Basin SCRICA project in the area. The project, which has since ended, was aimed at strengthening the area's resilience to climate change impact through capacity building in water resource management. Shimbua Mbombo Secondary School head teacher explains how the project has helped his school.
Before this project was placed in this school, we used to have serious water outages, challenges, because the only water point was servicing quite a wider community. Unfortunately, this is a cattle-heading community. The issues of gardening are almost non-existent. So the school has become an oasis of vegetable production. So we can say that SCRICA has really come here to stay. We are very thankful of their initiatives, and we hope that they can roll out their program to so many other areas.
At Rwanda Rural Health Facility, some beneficiaries of the project also expressed gratitude towards the initiative.
It was very hard for us when you conducted delivery in the night. You need to wait until in the morning when you go draw water from the borehole. But today we are happy because the borehole is at the facility.
They are happy because there's water. When there was no water, there was a lot of problems with water. So as for now, we are safe.
Such efforts aimed at mitigating climate change adaptation have provided the communities an opportunity of self-sustenance and income-generating activities, as they now have clean water sources and vegetable growing is now common in the area. Frederick Mwansa, Zanis, Iteji.
Northern Province has recorded more than 300 cases of measles since the first case of the disease recorded in Pulungu district in November last year. Northern Province health specialist Paul Mayeya says Nsenga Hill, Mbala, and Sama districts have also recorded cases of the disease. Dr. Mayeya has, however, assured the affected districts that the ministry is on high alert to control the disease by strengthening supervision of routine immunization activities. He added that the Provincial Health Office is also conducting measles vaccination campaigns not only in affected areas but the rest of the province to prevent the occurrence of the disease. Dr. Mayeya stated that health experts are also continuing with dissemination of information on the disease by sharing information with the public on how they can detect it. He told Zanis in an interview in Kasama today that people in the provinces should take extra care of their health and seek medical advice when they see any direct symptoms. Chainama Hills College Hospital Senior Medical Superintendent says on average, the health institution receives about 21,000 mental health related cases. Dr. Margaret Chivowa says the country has continued to record a high number of mental health patients being admitted to the hospital. Dr. Chivowa told Zanis in Livingstone that stress has been identified as one condition that leads to people having mental health related sickness. She states that stress is proving to be a common condition amongst those seeking mental health care, which if not properly dealt with, can lead people into depression or even committing suicide. Dr. Chivowa was speaking on the sidelines of the launch of the Mental Health Decentralization Program for district health directors and their mental health focal point persons drawn from southern, western, and eastern provinces. And Chainama Hills College Hospital Public Relations Manager, Dr. George Tafuna, disclosed that the objective of the 3 days capacity building workshop is to impart knowledge to district officials to enable them attend to mental health cases in their various localities to decongesting Chainama Hospital. We continue with the news. Chamber Member of Parliament Cliff Mpundu is impressed with the progress on the construction works of the first ever district mortuary, estimated at over 2 million kwacha in Chamber district in Luapula province. Mr. Mpundu said the construction of the Constituency Development Fund project is an opportunity for the local people to get employment and offer a service to the community. Mijelo Mwemba now reports.
The progress at the construction site of the first ever district mortuary worth over 2 million kwacha in Chembe district has elated Chembe Member of Parliament Cliff Mpundu, who took time to inspect this Constituency Development Fund project. With the project nearing completion, the lawmaker has urged the District Health Office to prioritize the local people for the job opportunities, as this is one way government is creating employment in the district.
Things like attendance, I would appreciate through your office, you engage your counterpart, PhD, so that these mortuary attendants, you employ the local people. It's part of employment. That's why this infrastructure are coming. So this is a critical project, and let us move forward as one, as always, so that we help the community.
Honorable, I can assure you that we will do our level best to ensure that we employ the locals, the Chembenians, I can put it that way. Yes, there is this structure, but Chembe is growing and the population has actually increased. We are talking of 60,000 population. Before we are talking of 30,000. So we need, maybe I would put it a district hospital.
Mr. Mpundu later visited Chembe Mini Hospital, where he donated blankets worth 19,800 kwacha before interacting with the mothers in the prenatal ward.
Many are times that our patients, they come here, some they are in accidents, their relatives, they are very far, they don't have anything. For that reason, I thought of donating these blankets to you.
We'd love to thank you, Honorable MP, for this wonderful gesture. This donation that you have given to this hospital will go a long way in terms of helping our patients here.
Chembe Council Chairperson Joseph Chisala has advised the community to appreciate every effort government is making to ensure that their lives are improved.
Pakutira bapera ma instruction akutirawo manifesto ku muipe mkolako mkwani nchina beshiwo kweba telo muntu wesu ala kusuka buno bwenu.
Reporting for Zanis in Chembe district in Luapula province, I am Mijelo Mwemba.
We move to Southern Province. The Constituency Development Fund CDF Empowerment has continued to uplift lives of the women in Namwala district of Southern Province. The increase in CDF allocation has also resulted in improved distribution of empowerment funds for women, youth, and other beneficiary groups. Namwala District Council Chairperson Abel Monga says the CDF in Namwala District is transforming the lives of the vulnerable communities. Still in the news, Central Province Permanent Secretary Miuna Mwanagampwe has commended firefighters for their work and sacrifice they make in the execution of their duties. Mr. Mwanagampwe observed that beyond their mandate to safeguard lives and properties, firefighters have gone further to take initiatives to be more efficient and effective in the discharge of their duties. Mr. Mwanagampwe was speaking during the closure of Women in Leadership course at the National Fire Service Training School in Kabwe. More in this report.
48 high-ranking female firefighters have completed a special training targeted in leadership from various districts in the country. Central Province Permanent Secretary Miuna Mwanagampwe is saddened by the low number of women representation in fire and rescue services.
I am informed that on the basis of gender, a quick survey of the staffing levels in the fire brigades reveals that the representation of women in fire and rescue services remains relatively lower and estimated to be at 6%. Now that is not too good. That is not good. Yourselves, as women that have been identified to be potential managers, you have to show it that you are ready for leadership. You've got to show it.
Kabwe Mayor Patrick Tishala is happy that building capacity in the women will bring balance and stability to the fire and rescue services.
Gender equality is at the core of this government, and this course proves that the fire services is walking the talk. I must emphasize that women in the fire and rescue service bring balance and stability to the profession. Therefore, we ought to embrace whatever opportunity to acquire knowledge and skills the women firefighters come across.
National Fire Service Training School Commandant Yona Mwale is encouraged by the women participation.
Serving officers of various ranks. Some of them may not be actually practicing, but they have attained the requisites that make them potential managers of manpower at district and indeed provincial level. It is uncomfortable in the case of one that at this point, since independence, we can only have 2 chief officers and only 2 deputies. But if you did your research, you may find that some of these women can outperform the men that are serving.
Daniel Billy, Zanis News in Kabwe, Central Province.
The Department of Culture in Northern Province has expressed concern over the diminishing production of traditional and cultural foods in the country. Provincial Cultural Officer Vesta Zile said most of the traditional foods, such as locally brewed munkoyo, have lost their popularity among indigenous people. Christine Muselo reports from Mpulungu that Mr. Zile said this when he met a group of Mpulungu women who are in the business of brewing the local drink.
This is a traditionally brewed drink, popularly known as munkoyo. This drink is slowly losing its popularity owing to the coming of assorted modern soft drinks. The Department of Cultural Affairs wants the production of the drink to be kept alive.
If we do not take a deliberate move to start preserving and safeguarding munkoyo, the next 20 years people will no longer talk about munkoyo. So that is the reason why we are going around the province, just to ensure that certain things are safeguarded, certain things or elements are inventoried. Inventoried in the sense that we are going to create a database that will be accessed by anyone wishing to know about the production of munkoyo, a beverage here in Mpulungu.
Women involved in the production of this drink had this to say.
Kuyana nono chilan staff kunu kumpera ku munkoyo amwe starta ngo awelu kunchito kunu amupera ku munkoyo uzuke vivi kwene amupera ko wamwa
munkoyo kuno kumpulungu ukatwazwirizanga soyana mayo ngatuwakwatu munkoyo tukaja vivi kwene tukusungira mwindu pwa zitu nana pang'anda nombi chikalenga tutakwata makapi twakalamba ene bintu kakumbu tunono tukuika simu tu plastic twakwanu kwacha tubotolo twako tukwacha na tukontea tutamanyike na ningo tutakweti ni virembo ningo vinantu yangamanyirako
kwena bana tulabalanga padapo ndebomba mfuire nabo lapo balabana bakashana nabalangirira ifyo ndechi tamwe bana bandi umundefu ayilolu pia mumunkoyo monene fonchita pakutila teshire chula.
Christine Mselu, reporting for Zanis in Mpulungu.
And finally, in sports news, the Zambia Football Coaches Association says there is urgent need to build up the technical capacity of the coaching staff for the Zambia national women's soccer team ahead of the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup in Australia and New Zealand. ZAFCA President Dan Kabwe says the Football Association of Zambia, FAZ, needs to quickly put in place a fast-track coaching clinic for the Copper Queens technical bench. Kawe observes that the technical bench, led by coach Bruce Mwape, has been doing its best to ensure the Copper Queens get tactical skills to enhance their performance, but that the bench needs continuous exposure to modern coaching skills. He urged the Copper Queens technical bench to work with national team coach Avram Grant during the remaining months to give the best available technical expertise to the Copper Queens. And Zambia Sports and Fans Association patron Peter Makembo praised the Copper Queens for trying their best as they played a high-profile team of the caliber of South Korea. The two international friendlies against South Korea are part of preparations for the Copper Queens' maiden appearance at the FIFA Women's World Cup tournament slated for July 20 to August 20, 2023 in Australia and New Zealand. Zambia is in Group C and will face former champions Japan and global powerhouse Spain, with Costa Rica completing the group. That sporting item concludes Zanis News, but before we go, a recap of the stories that made headline. Copperbelt forms task force to curb smuggling of mealie. Over 300 Nyimba farmers benefit from Goat Pass On program. Chembe District to get first ever mortuary using CDF. And coaches body ages fast to build technical capacity of Copper Queens bench. That's all we had for you this evening. On behalf of Zanis production team, my name is Yvonne Kunda saying good night, God bless, and pleasant viewing.